I'm going to share my own personal experience and all the lessons I learned from my relationship with my ex back from 2017 through to 2018. Because that relationship really helped me grow and shape me into the man I am today. I've had many people reach out to me from the comment sections all the way to private messages saying, Christian, how do you know so much about relationships at such an early age? I really want to know. Well, you're about to find out. Christmas is coming up and I figured I'd bless all of you with an early gift. Therefore, I'm going to talk a little bit about me today. Because I truly believe if I hadn't have had that experience back in 2017 to 2018, I wouldn't be the young man I am today. My life would have taken a very different path. And I was really that close to screwing it up. All because I got involved with the wrong woman. And this is what I want you guys to understand. Why do you think I'm so serious when I say you're responsible for the quality of woman that you choose? Because it's true. You see, the average man thinks, and this is what I used to think, as long as she's pretty and she's into me and she's showing me interest, everything is okay. It doesn't matter about her sexual past. It doesn't matter about her family background. It doesn't matter if there's any red flags. She's showing me attraction. She's showing me interest. This is all I need. And if you don't go deeper than the shell and you don't want to get to know her core, trust me, you are going to suffer in the end. Because how many men and women alike could have prevented a heartbreak, could have prevented divorce, could have prevented having unwanted children, could have prevented all of those sleepless nights, or, some of you even have PTSD from the nightmares and the abuse you've suffered from a narcissist or the wrong partner. And all of that could have been avoided if, at the very beginning, when you did the background check, you paid attention to those red flags and you walked away. Because there are good partners out there. There are people that you can have a relationship with. They are emotionally stable. But you've got to look for them. And I myself saw all of the red flags and I looked past them and I paid the price for it. And this is why I'm telling you, I don't want to hear any lie from any man saying, well, I didn't know any better. You can always see the red flags. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's true. So let's talk about my experience. What did I learn? So the story starts in August of 2017. I was 19, she was 18. I'm going to call her Jenny to protect her identity, and that's her new fake name. So Jenny was a mixture of German and Dutch, green eyes, blonde hair, petite, did modelling, absolutely stunning. We met through a mutual friend, we exchanged contact info, she asked for a number, she gave it to me right away. Next thing you know, we're talking, she's showering me with compliments, telling me that I'm her type, she's really into me, she'd like to get to know me. She was a Christian, I'm a Christian, so we had that to bond over. My birthday was on the 5th of February, hers is on the 4th, so our birthdays were a day apart. So but there were all these different coincidences which kind of deepened my attraction for her and vice versa. Now, little did I know, I was about to be thrown into a world of so many red flags that I overlooked. And that was my first mistake. I betrayed my standards and what I could see was wrong for lust, for my physical attraction. Now, around the time when I met her, August of 2017, was when I already started a long process of transformation. I quit partying, I quit drinking, I quit clubbing and the nightlife, and I focused more on my own personal development. And I'd been learning about relationships since I was a teenager, right? Going back to 2014, even way when I was young, I would immerse myself in Tony Robbins and Corey Wayne and reading David Data, The Way of the Superior Man. And I would watch seminars, download their videos, read their books, and I'd learn everything I could and I'd apply it all throughout my teenage life. So I figured I've learned enough about women. But you know what I learned? Not one of those guys ever talks about avoid women that have a promiscuous sexual past. Avoid women that have unresolved childhood trauma. Avoid women that are not over the X. If there's any red flags, run. And this is why I'm so firm in my belief in my videos when I talk about this stuff. And I tell you guys, be very careful of the woman you choose because it is your responsibility. So I already had a lot of knowledge back then, simply because I just chose to educate myself. I wanted to learn about the opposite sex and myself as a man. But it's never enough until you have your own experiences, until you actually put what you know into practice. So I was still undergoing the process of mastering my own lust and, quitting pornography, which I did, thank goodness. And I quit alcohol August of 2017, which really helped me in my discipline and my growth to my maturity. And by looking at her lifestyle, it was very different, okay? I had just come out of the party life, but she was deep in it. She would go out drinking with her girlfriends. She'd go out to parties and clubs pretty much most weekends, and I didn't want to get involved, so I never went. And she asked me, does this bother you? And I said, yes, it does. And she said, oh, I'll stop. And I said to her, I want you to stop because you want to, not to do it because of me. I did not want to guilt her into it. And even though that was already a red flag, because that wasn't my lifestyle, the reason why I kind of looked over that was because I just came out of partying and drinking. And I figured, you know what, I'm young, I quit, she's young, maybe she will do the same. I'm not going to pressure her. That's her own life. Okay? Because you've got to allow people to live freely. You can't force or control. So I gave her that freedom to do what she wants because it's her own life. But it did bother me because her friends had some serious problems, which I'm going to get into. So anyway, she was a Christian, I'm a Christian, it seemed like things were good. And then I start to learn about her background. First red flag, other than the partying, I asked her about, well, do you have any exes? Do you have, tell me. Because she was 18. She said, yeah, I have an ex and I've had 4 sexual partners in total. And I thought, 18, you've had 4 sexual partners, but you've only mentioned you had 1 ex. So obviously, they weren't all boyfriends. She hadn't slept with men in the context of getting to know them. Now, I didn't want to go too much into it, so I kind of brushed it aside and said, all right, thanks for telling me. Continued getting to know her. And I'm going to come back to this in a moment. You're going to see why this was bad. Next thing, she tells me about her parents. Because I said, well, tell me about your family. You're close to them. She said to me, her relationship had always been very strained with her father, even though it had improved in the last few years, up until I met her. I asked her to tell me more. She kind of broke down a bit and told me that when she was 5 years old, her mother was sick in the hospital and she and her brother found her father making out with a nurse in the previous ward, in the ward next to them. And she said this event really scarred her ability to trust in her father. And now all of his wisdom and leadership meant nothing to her. Absolutely zero. So she rebelled. And she said that's why she was always partying and drinking and clubbing, because she wanted to be away from the family life. She mentioned how there was a lot of drama growing up with her parents. And there were many times where they could have split, but they kind of reconciled. And what I like to say is they settled for each other. Because I got to know the parents, and you could see in the mother's eyes, she didn't love or respect that man anymore after what he did. I mean, come on, father and husband of the year, am I right? It's a very scummy thing to do, and that leaves wounds that sometimes can only heal if that person is completely gone from your life. So just looking at her family, that was her authority figure, that was her father. So he'd already tarnished her ability to feel safe around him, to feel protected by him. This does a lot of damage to a girl. And I found this out the hard way because looking back now, I can see the damage it did to her. But back then I thought, oh, poor thing, I feel bad for her. But since she said things had improved in the last few years with him, I also brushed it aside. The next red flag was her ex. Moving on from August all the way through to September. September, she confessed to me that her ex had cheated on her multiple times. There was a 10-year age gap. Again, this goes hand in hand with the dad issues because of what she went through with her father. So she was looking for a father figure in an older man. And this, keep in mind, that's when she was 18, right? And he cheated on her multiple times. And she kept trying to work it out with him, and eventually he tossed it to the side because he was dating other women. And she told me that it was after that when she went out and slept with 3 other guys. And this is when she told me the truth. One of the guys she slept with was a male friend, another red flag. The third guy she slept with was a man whose name she doesn't even recall because she was drunk. And the fourth guy she slept with was a guy she had a friends with benefits type relationship she was just hooking up with. Like ordering a pizza and coming over every weekend. And this is a Christian girl who believes in marriage and wants to be a wife and a mother one day. And that's what she'd done to herself at the age of 18. Me, being young and naive, I thought to myself, well, I ain't slept around ever. She was my first, this girl, this Jenny. And I thought, well, she's a Christian. She confessed the truth to me. Maybe she's just changed, because young people make mistakes, right? Guys, pay close attention to this. If a girl has hooked up once and she regrets it and doesn't do it again, that's called a mistake, because you repent and turn from it. She's done it multiple times. That's a lifestyle choice and a decision. Very different thing. So I naively believed she changed. That had already done damage to her. At the age of 18, getting ran through 3 times in the space of, 2 months prior to meeting me, after her ex had left her. Very weird, huh? The next thing was, she got a call from her ex. And this was around the end of September. This is when she asked me to be a boyfriend, and I said yes. Right? Because I thought I'll be different than the ex and everything she's been through, and things will be fine, because she was into me. So her ex calls her, and she kind of tells him, listen, I don't want anything to do with you. I've met another guy, which is me. I'm very happy with him. He's a great man, and I wish you all the best, but don't contact me again. I'm going to block you after this phone call. She told me that the last thing he said to her was this: I will always have you, and you will always belong to me. And he hung up. She blocked him. I did remember asking her, listen, if you're not over this guy, I'm walking away, because I'm not going to get involved. She said, no, I'm not over him anymore. But, he called me and I told him the truth, right? What I just said. But she told me what he said, right? You will always be mine in the end, right? Or you will always belong to me. And I always found that very weird, and that is going to come back in the end. So anyway, we keep building a bond through to September, October, and I'm already feeling a slight disconnect with her, because I've just found out now that she's had a promiscuous past. I found out that her ex has done serious damage to her, and looking back now, it makes sense, right? Why did she sleep around with those men? Because she wasn't over the ex, and she was using sex with strangers to fill the void. She couldn't run to her father for support because he cheated on the mum. So she couldn't trust in him. And due to that damage, she had no moral support from anyone in her life to help her through her pain. She had no leadership. She had no source of strength, no protection. So she kind of self-destructed. Looking back, I can see that. So I'm already seeing all these red flags, but yet I'm putting it to the side because I keep thinking, she's a Christian, you've got to forgive and forget. That was in the past. She did that before I existed in her life. That's what I chalked it down to, which was a big mistake. Now, because I'm figuring out, right, her sexual partners, her ex, her father, all right, she's partying, she's drinking, all right, I'm not too happy about this. Does she really seem like someone I'd want long term? I was leading with my lust, so I sold out my standards and my principles, you see. The next thing I would come to find out a few months later was she kept repeating the words, I'm afraid I'll screw this up because things always end badly between me and other guys. Ayn Rand has a very good quote that says, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And that kind of didn't sit very well with me, because that's not a normal thing to say. If you're confident and you're happy, you're going to tell your partner, you know what, I'm very happy to be with you and I think things are going to be just fine. Let's see where things go. You don't kind of talk badly about yourself. Now, this is very important because the next thing, from November, December, going all the way through to January of 2018, a month before her birthday, my birthday, you're going to see why this, I'm afraid I'll screw this up, is so important. She went out for the weekend with the friends, partying. Okay. And she calls me and says, "Hey Christian, listen, I met me and my girls were out. We met a group of guys." Keep in mind, I don't trust this woman around guys since she confessed to me that one of the men she slept with was a male friend, right? She said, "So I met a group of guys, just to let you know, nothing's going on, but we're all going partying to this somebody's house and we're staying there for the weekend." And I just blindly trusted her. All right, have fun. She didn't have any signal, coincidentally, when she went. And on her way back, she called me when she had signal at the end of that weekend. It was a Sunday. "Hey Christian, I just want to say I love you." And I could tell something sounded terribly wrong in her voice, like there was a lump in her throat. And I was like, "Yeah, I love you too. You don't sound too well." She goes, No. I'll call you when I get home." So she comes home that Sunday, she FaceTimes me, and her nose was red. And she kept sniffling. I was so naive and innocent. I said to her, "Well, I'm pretty sure you're just sick. You should, get an early night." Because I was studying as well that evening. I had an exam the next morning, a law exam. And she was like, "No, I'm okay." And then she said, "I was thinking while I was at the house party that weekend, there's something we should try together." And I was like, "Okay, go on." She said, "We should have sex while we're taking drugs." And I turned right on her on the call. And I said, "Listen, I don't know if you're playing some type of game with me, but that is disgusting." Okay, keep in mind, I'd given up alcohol in August of 2017, and this is January of 2018. And to this day, December 2021, I've not had a single sip. I kept my promise to God. I'm sober-minded. I've never done hard drugs before in the past, and I never would and never will. It's bad for you. It's dangerous. So now I'm really starting to wonder, what was she doing that weekend? So I said to her, "Listen, I don't know what you've been doing with your friends or what things you've been discussing, but that is not a normal thing to suggest. You want to what? Make love under the influence of drugs?" Those aren't the words of someone that's well in the head. That's what I'm thinking. So I kind of freaked out on her. I wasn't shouting or anything, but I'm talking the way I am now with my facial expression. And I was like, "Jenny, are you serious? This is not safe. This is not normal. I'm not going to do that ever." And she went, "Fine." So she hangs up. Very, very weird. I don't know, I could keep studying throughout the night. She calls me a few hours later. She says, "Listen, Christian, I need to apologise for the way I was speaking to you and for what I suggested. That's very wrong of me, and I need to make a confession." In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, knowing that she's slept around with a male friend, another guy whose name she doesn't know, and another man who she did casual hookups with, she's probably confessed to me that she cheated on me that weekend. But that wasn't the case. She said, "I did cocaine throughout the weekend. That's why my nose is red and I've been sniffling." This woman is 5'1", weighs 100 pounds, and she did 7 lines of cocaine. But she's a good Christian girl, right? My heart instantly sunk. She was begging, she was crying on the phone, "Christian, please do not leave me. I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you. I'll never do it again." And I said, "Look, I've got an exam tomorrow. Do not talk to me." I didn't even sleep. That's how bad it was. I took the next couple of days off. I spent time with my close friend, my best friend. And I thought about it all. I thought about everything. And I started to ask myself, "Christian, if I'm to marry this woman, you get, let's say 10 years from now, I've got kids. Am I going to be proud to say, guess what, kids? Mummy used to do cocaine." Can I trust a woman that's into drugs, that hasn't healed from that? Because you remember what I said before? I'm afraid I'll screw this up. That's exactly why she was saying it. Because that's the type of person she was. And that's what she hid from me. That she was into cocaine. And I'd say to myself, I'd never do cocaine. I'd never do drugs. I don't want to be with someone who does. But what did I do? Instead of walking away, I caved in and I gave in to my emotions and my lust for her and her beauty. And I thought to myself, you know what, on the other hand, she was honest enough to tell me the truth. She confessed to me what she did. Maybe I can give it another chance. So what happened? I called her up and I said, listen, I forgive you, but you got to promise me you'll never do this again. She's like, oh, I swear, I swear. And to my knowledge, at least it seems true, she spoke to her mother about it, she got help, and she started to heal. She also confessed that a year before meeting me, she did cocaine twice before. So that wasn't the first time thing. So now I've got a whole collection of red flags. You see where I'm going with this? But of course there's more. So her birthday was the 4th of Feb, mine's the 5th of Feb. So towards the end of January, I spent 2 weeks with her and her family, getting to know everyone. And it was good. Even though I had knowledge of what her father had done to her mother, he seemed like a cool guy to me. He treated me very well. He taught me a lot of life lessons, and I really got along with the parents and the mother as well. Even though I could see just by observing that they didn't really love each other. Like you could see in the mother's eyes, she didn't trust this man. Despite that, they treated me very well. And this is why you never know what goes on in someone's family. But because Jenny had told me the truth, right, about the parents, I could see past that. And I knew they were just putting on a front. Because I was there. And, I remember the dad, he sat me down, he's like, listen, you cheat on my daughter, I'm going to hurt you, right? And I'm just thinking, oh, you mean like when you cheat on your wife? Obviously, I'm not going to say that to the guy because, I respected him. That was his house. He's the man of the house. And I had to show him due respect. And he did treat me well. And he was good to me. And sadly, her father never knew that she did cocaine. He even thought his daughter was a virgin. He didn't know a thing about her. And this is why you can see the damage it does. When a father is not present with his daughter, when he cheats on the mum, or there's extreme dysfunction in that household, this is how badly it can affect a girl. And I saw it in my ex. She kept her lifestyle hidden from him. He thought she was this sweet little innocent angel that had made no mistakes in her life, that wasn't making all these terrible choices right underneath his nose. He didn't know. I knew, her mum knew, her brother knew, her father never knew. So I go to see her, I go and visit her, and there's more red flags. However, I will mention she did treat me very well. We very rarely fought, never shouted at me, never said a single nasty name. She was good to me when I was around her. For her birthday, I took her to a nice restaurant, we had fun. It was a great time. However, one thing happened on her birthday that kind of raised the red flag to me. She was in the shower and she said, can you get my phone and respond to all my messages on Facebook of people, different girls were messaging her, right? Happy birthday, Jenny and all the rest. So she just wanted me to respond to them. Then on her private message on WhatsApp, a guy sent her a message and he called her by her nickname. Her nickname was only used by her 2 female best friends. Her parents and her brother were the only people that called her by her nickname, people that were close to her. The guy who sent her this happy birthday with a nickname was present at the house party a little while back when she did cocaine. And he was part of that group of guys that she'd met and she'd gone with. And I said to her, can you explain to me why this guy has your private number if he's a total stranger? This is what she said. Well, actually, I knew him from months back before I met you, but I kind of forgot about his name and everything. And we used to be close. Huh. I'm thinking, really? So he all of a sudden he's calling you by the nickname that only those that are closest to you call you by. That did not add up to me. And that was on her birthday. And she said, well, if it makes you uncomfortable, you can block him. And I said, yeah, you definitely can. Because you were out doing drugs, and all of a sudden you're going to tell me that this guy is just a friend, and now all of a sudden he's from a stranger to a guy you knew in the past? I don't think so. She apologized, and obviously we left it at that because it was her birthday. I'm not going to ruin her birthday, right? But something didn't sit very well with me on that day. Was she cheating on me with that guy? I do not have 100% proof. All I know is that is what I saw. Now, what is the next thing I noticed? My birthday is the next morning, right? 5th of Feb. I'm trying to put this behind me, and now it's all coming back. All the red flags, the cocaine, right? The daddy issues. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is not a woman that I want to be in a relationship with. So my feelings started dying for her already in February. Despite that, she actually treated me so well on my birthday. She baked me a cake. She took me to a couples massage. She got me all these lovely presents, and she cooked for me. And we had a nice session of the Indoor Olympics. So that also lowered my guard. And I was like, this is why I was so confused. Because on the one hand, I've got evidence that she's not someone I can trust in, that something's wrong with her, but yet I'm being spoiled. She's treating me like a king. She's treating me with respect and diligence. This is great. So it was a very up and down in that sense. And my emotions were all over the place. The next incident where I saw the following red flag was, we sat down, we were watching a movie, and she gets a message from her best friend's boyfriend. And he messages her and says, hey Jenny, have you seen, I'm just going to call her Anna. Have you seen Anna? She's not picking up her phone. She texts him back and says, oh yeah, Anna's with me. And I turned to her and I said, Jenny, we're sitting together watching a movie in your house. There's no one here. She said, I know, but I'm covering for her because she's basically out sleeping with other guys, and whenever he contacts me, because he doesn't know where she is, she's always told me to just say, oh yeah, I'm with Jenny. That way he lowers his guard and he relaxes. I was disgusted with her. And I said, how can you possibly defend your friend when she's cheating on her boyfriend? She said, I know it's horrible. I've spoken to her a few times, but it's her choice. There's nothing I can do. And I remember feeling so bad for that guy because he was out working, he was saving up, and he also he bought her an engagement ring. And I remember they got engaged the following month, and there was no way for me to contact him and let him know, which is a shame. I always wanted to tell him, like, dude, don't do it. And this raised the next red flag for me because I'm thinking, well, if she's friends with a woman that is willing to cheat on her boyfriend, what does this say about her? Because if she was truly disgusted by her character, by her actions, she wouldn't associate herself with such a female. But the thing is pretty simple. Her friend was promiscuous. Her friend was a cheater. See, guys, do you remember throughout many of my videos, I've always said that you got to look at her friends. Where do you think I learned this? From my own life experience. See, her friend was cheating on her boyfriend. If she was really disgusted by it, she would not be friends with her. She'd be friends with other women that were Christian, that would go to church, that don't do such things. But the very fact that she was friends with her let me know that she saw no problem with that. And it's a very high likelihood that she would do the same. And, she tried to defend her friend, which was the sickest part. That was her best friend. Her other best friend was a little bit different. She had never been in a relationship, but she'd lost count of the amount of men she'd slept with. So her other friend was like a serious slut. That woman is never going to pay a bond. And I remember telling Jenny, I said, why don't you tell her to quit her lifestyle? Because as she gets older, it's not a single guy's going to take her seriously. She goes, I know, I've tried to tell her, but it's just the way she is. So now I'm getting a bigger piece of who she is. It's all starting to make sense to me. Why was she pushed to sleep around and be promiscuous after her ex that she gave her virginity to left her? Because not only did she have the daddy issues, but she's got a promiscuous friend on the left who's obviously going to encourage her to live that way, and then you got the other one on the right who's cheating on her boyfriend. Of course they're gonna push her to sleep around. And because she associated herself with such women, she knew if she built a friendship with them, they would never judge her for sleeping around. They would never judge her if she ever decided to cheat on me, for example. Instead, they would encourage her and they would welcome her behavior because that's the way they live. That's the way they see the world. That's the way they view men and relationships. And because she formed bonds with those girls, that let me know, looking back, that's who she was. Because if she was truly against their behavior and she thought it was immoral, she would not be friends with them. It really is that simple. And it's a very great way, guys, to discern if your woman is promiscuous or not, just by observing who she hangs around with. You know, bad company corrupts good morals. And so then it started to make sense to me. Looking back, that is why she was sleeping around. That's why. That's why she had been promiscuous prior to meeting me. But yet when she met me, all of a sudden she's, yeah, I'm a Christian and I believe in marriage and having a family one day. Really? Because you didn't believe in having a marriage and kids when, you know, you got railed by that guy who was a friend. And the other guy you were hooking up with continuously. And the other man whose name you forgot. You weren't focused on marriage and kids then, were you? But when you met me, because I have those values, now you're going to be a Christian. But then you're doing cocaine and you're drinking and you're partying and you're covering for your friend who's cheating on you. Do you see what I'm saying? So there was all these different red flags that, piecing it all together, you can look at her and say her beauty means absolutely nothing. Who she is on the inside disqualifies her as relationship or wife material, because she had all these issues that she hadn't healed from. And all of this came from her relationship with her father. She never truly forgave him. It was really hard for her to move past. And that alone, you know, started rolling the dice, which was a snowball effect, which caused her to get involved in all of these problems, which are her own choice. Promiscuous female friends, drugs and alcohol. Okay. Why was she doing that? Because of her upbringing, because of her unresolved daddy issues. And she kept that hidden. But it's so true what she said. I'm afraid I'll screw this up. Because in a way, that's really what she did. Another thing I will add in regards to her friends was, coincidentally, they both did cocaine as well, and other drugs. So there you have it, guys. Birds of a feather flock together, fellas. Now, even her family tried telling her multiple times, Jenny, you need to cut these girls out of your life because they're nothing but trouble. Even when I said it, it was just in one ear, out the other. She replied that if she got rid of them, she'd be all alone and then she'd have no one to have a friendship with. Sadly, those girls were leading her astray. Now, carrying on. So towards the end of February, it was the last time we were physical. I went back home and I remember the second week of March, things start to get very, very dangerous. Because she tells me, listen, I've not had my period yet. She was on the pill, and it was towards the end I didn't use protection because she was on the pill. And she said, I genuinely think I could be pregnant. I was scared, she was scared. And now I'm starting to see the dangers of leading with your lust. Putting your principles aside. Luckily, I don't know if that was God intervening or if it was simply a stroke of luck. she got sick second week of March and she vomited. And after that, everything went back to normal and her period came back and obviously she wasn't pregnant. I do not know to this day what happened there. All I know is that whatever happened saved me from being a single dad. Because I am 100% sure that she was pregnant. And so was she. And it definitely seemed like it. And I would have ruined my early 20s by having a child out of wedlock. And obviously that relationship failed, so I would have screwed my life up. And that would have been my responsibility. I would have to take account for that as a man. After that whole incident, we both disconnected from each other. Given the fact that I already lost trust in her way back since she did cocaine, this was just something else. I was immature, she was immature. You know, this relationship, it was not meant to work out. Another thing she did, which was pretty much since we first met, she would always harp on about marriage, like fetishizing it, idealizing it. Looking back, yeah, that's just limerence. Because there's nothing wrong with your partner telling you, hey, one day I'd like to be in a marriage and have children. There's nothing wrong communicating your values to determine if you both want the same thing. But her going on about it 24/7, pretty much every 2 days, till about April of 2018, she'd always talk about marriage. And now all of a sudden, getting into April, she stopped. She said to me, hey Christian, listen, I don't think we need to talk about marriage anymore. You know, we both like each other, we've both been dating all this time, let's just see where things go. And I said, yeah, sure, ain't no problem. On one hand, I'm thinking, great, she's finally going to stop talking about this. But on the other hand, I knew she's losing interest, or else she would keep bringing it up. So I also noticed from April, she started calling me less, wanting to spend less time with me, less affectionate. You know, our connection was wearing very thin. Given the fact that everything happened, I was pretty much with one foot out the door as well. Then in May of 2018, she basically starts making all these excuses why she can't contact me because she needs to focus on her life and all the rest. And then one day she calls me and says, listen, I think we need to end the relationship. And I just simply said, okay, bye. And that was it. And she was quite surprised. She said, so you don't want to keep in contact or be friends? I said, listen, I gave myself to you, which was a mistake. I trusted in you, and I even gave you a chance after you did cocaine. And I put my best foot forward, but I just think this relationship, you're right, this ain't gonna work out. She broke down crying, given the fact that she was the one who wanted to end things, but because deep down I wanted to end it too, I was okay with it, right? And that's basically what I told her. I was like, listen, I'm not gonna be friends with an ex. And you know, I put a lot of effort forward, and look, you obviously need to do some work on yourself, because I mean, emotionally and mentally, she hadn't recovered from cocaine. I mean, at the age of 19, guys, she was on sleeping pills and taking all this medication. That's not normal. That is not healthy. And she started crying. She said that, yeah, she'll get help and she'll keep working on herself. And I said to her, you know, take care. And that's that. She did try and contact me a few times, but other than that, from May onwards, I was single. I healed very quickly. And I just remember breaking down, and I was like, listen, you know, I was praying to God, and I was like, I need to raise my standards here, because I saw how close I was to screwing up my entire life for a woman that was plagued with red flags. And that would have been me. And luckily, I came out of it on the other end with barely any scars. So what was the first lesson I learned? I'll tell you. That red flags are very real and dangerous. And when you spot them, you turn and you run, because there's always a much better woman out there that has none. Some red flags come out in a few weeks, some red flags come out in a few months, but they always appear eventually. That's why you always take things slow. You don't rush into marriage, you don't get pregnant, you don't have kids. Take things day by day. And when you spot certain things that disqualify that woman, you treat her accordingly and you disqualify her. Bye-bye. That's what you do. That's why I'm so hard on this. The second thing I would say is, because I've got it written down on my notes here, never betray your standards in your principles for lust. I knew, as I start to get to know, as I've explained throughout this video, there were different instances where I identified very clear indicators that she was not relationship material, that she was not to be trusted, yet I gave her chance after chance. I kept trying. Okay? I did that because I was into her physically. I had a connection, my emotions were invested, and I thought, maybe she'll be different. But time proved me wrong. If those red flags are there in the beginning, they will become the reasons you will want to walk away in the end. Never ever betray your standards or your principles. Ever. I was that close to becoming a single dad. Can you imagine that? Me? And I would not be here doing a video and explaining all these different things that I've learned and sharing all this content to help all of you with your relationships, because I'd still be struggling with something in the past that would be haunting me to this day. Luckily, I'm okay. I'm freed from that. Now, towards the end of that year, a few months later, I healed very quickly. I want to just mention that very, very shortly. I started reconnecting with my friends and family, and I told my father what happened. And he said to me, I always knew there was something about that girl that wasn't to be trusted. And I told my dad, why didn't you tell me to walk away? Why didn't you give me any advice? And he told me, because that's your life and you're responsible for what you do with it. I'm not going to get involved with that. That's on you. And that's why I come up with my favorite motto. You're responsible for the quality of woman that you choose. It's in your hands. Because the red flags are always going to be there. And I was blinded by it because I was young. I was looking at her beauty. I wasn't looking at this. And when I did look into this and I saw who she really was, I just didn't want to believe it. I wanted to hold on to the ideal that things could still be somewhat okay. Because I did enjoy her companionship and she was good to me. She was sweet. She never disrespected me. Now, I will never have 100% confirmation that she cheated on me. I will never know. All I know is she did drugs and she had all these different issues in the past of being promiscuous and having daddy issues. Do you understand? And all of that played into who she became and how she showed up to our relationship. And I was that close to being a single dad. That's why I take that very seriously to heart. You don't want to take your relationship seriously? Okay. But eventually something's going to give from one of your interactions and you're going to pay a price. And then you're going to be miserable. I took extreme accountability and I turned my life around. I raised my standards. I held true to my values. And after moving on, a few months later, I came across the next great love of my life, who I've been with for 3 years. Feminine, virgin, the opposite, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. And things had worked out for me since, right? And I remember September of 2018, Jenny phones me up on her mother's phone because I'd gotten rid of her contact info. I deleted all the messages. She contacts me and says, Christian, I'm really sorry for walking away in May. Do you want to give it another chance? And I said, no, thank you. I'm good. I give myself to you and I forgive you for everything you did. I was present with you and you threw that away. You got a life to live. You find God. But I want nothing else to do with you and I wish you all the best. She broke down crying and that was it. Didn't hear from her since. What I did find out, and this was what I found out like a year later, 6 months ago actually, of this year, one of my friends still followed her on Facebook. I got rid of Facebook, so I don't use it anymore. And he told me that she posted a picture with her ex. Do you remember what I said at the beginning? when her ex told her, "You belong to me and I'll always be yours. Like, you'd always be mine. Like, we'll meet again," kind of thing. Well, he wasn't wrong. She went right back to the ex. So all the time she was telling me, "I love you," and she's, showering me with gifts on my birthday and taking me to the couples massage and being sweet and always talking about marriage. Really, I want to spend my life with you, Christian. All of this, and then guess what? She moves on, she heals, but who does she go back to? She goes back to the ex who cheated on her multiple times, who most likely will probably do the same. And who was the guy who took her virginity? Him. Guys, an emotional imprint cannot compete with an emotional attachment. She was imprinted by him because that was her first. It meant something to her, and she never got closure. Her feelings and heart were still involved with him. That's why there was that incident when she accidentally said his name a few times. She was never over him. She was sleeping with those guys to fill the void. She met me and thought, "Oh, just in case he doesn't work out with him, I've got a good man here who I could potentially get involved with." And I was deceived by that. Looking back, I can see it all. Now I can see the big picture. All the pieces are put in place and the picture appears in a bright light, and I can see it all for what it really is. She was never over him. I was just another guy who she did find attractive, who she had a connection with, but it wasn't as strong as the one she had with her ex. Even though she was trauma bonded with him and the connection with him wasn't healthy, that's what meant a lot to her, because her heart and her mind were still involved with him. And she went back to him eventually. So can you imagine that? So I would have had that kid, if let's say it did work out, she would have had that child. I'd have a 3-year-old kid right now, and I'd be a single dad, and she would be right back with him the second he popped back into the picture, because I wasn't there anymore. That lets me know that her feelings were never truly there with me 100%. She just had an emotional attachment which faded away after the relationship ended. But the impact he had made on her life, because he was her first, stayed forever. That's why it's so important, guys, to choose a woman that is chaste, modest, and pure, who doesn't give her body out to different men, because it just won't work out for you. Do you understand? So all in all, guys, that's what happened. I don't know to this day what she's done with her life. I do hope she's okay. And you know what? I'm actually grateful for this experience, because without it, I wouldn't have learned all of these things at such a young age. And it really prepared me for my future, and it keeps me conscious to always be aware of these things. And that's why, that's one instance, one event in my life that really helped me mature and learn the truth about choosing a good partner. Again, I've no hatred, no anger towards my ex Jenny. I hope she's okay. I truly hope she recovered from the drugs. And I do hope that she repaired the relationship with her parents and deepened her connection with God and cut out those terrible girlfriends from her life. I don't know. All I know from what one of my friends told me was, dude, she posted a picture, she got back together with her ex. Guys, if you're not the first, you're the last. If you're not her first draft pick, physically and emotionally, and she's not going to be emotionally ready to be with you, you will always be secondary. There will always be that guy in her mind, in her heart, who she holds on to, that she just can't let go of. And you'll be nothing but a second option. So guys, be very cautious when choosing the woman you date. Make sure that there are no red flags. Make sure she can pair bond with you. Make sure there is no promiscuous past. Make sure that if she came from a terrible relationship with her parents, she healed from that or is currently working on it. Make sure she surrounds herself with good, quality, feminine friends that are traditional, that live a respectful lifestyle, where they're not out getting railed every weekend. You've got to put all of these things together and see the big picture like I did. As I say all the time, there's good ones and bad ones, but most importantly, you're responsible for the quality of woman that you choose. So guys, there you have it. If you are in a similar situation, or you see any of the red flags that I've mentioned in a girl you're dating, you might want to walk away, because there's always someone better out there for you. And until you put yourself out there and you hold true to your standards, and if you don't have the patience to wait for a good woman to come along, and you just keep entertaining low quality ones, you are going to increase the risk of you harming your future, your self-esteem. Do not do it. It's in your hands. You have to be very careful. So guys, that's a little bit about me. That's what happened from that relationship. And yeah, it was an experience that really helped me increase in wisdom. And I can look back at it with peace. And honestly, I'm blessed that I went through that at such a young age. I mean, it could have been worse. Luckily, it wasn't. It was a short relationship. But it taught me many different lessons. Always keep your standards. Never bend the will. Okay? Because your heart is deceitful above all things. Your feelings and emotions change. And that's why your principles must be rock solid and never change. In the face of your emotions going up and down. If you have a value that says, if she is promiscuous, if she has slept around, I don't take her seriously, I walk away, and then you come across a girl that is promiscuous, you've got to hold true to that value. Doesn't matter how pretty she is, how beautiful she is. No amount of you wanting to change her or fix her or love her or be there for her is going to make a change. It's not your duty to do that. Find a girl that's either put in the work to be feminine and virtuous, or she's so lucky to grow up in a good family to where she naturally has been brought up in an environment where her femininity has thrived, and she's been taught to be modest. She's taught to have self-control from an early age. So that's all I have to say on that, guys. Today you've learned a little bit about me. That's what happened in my past, those years ago. And yeah, it definitely shaped my outlook on relationships for the better. You know, because when you have an experience like that, it sticks. Okay, and I hope it helps some of you make better choices in your current relationship or for a future relationship. Okay, so with that said, guys, if you want to reach out to me privately, my email is down in the description. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified anytime I upload a new video. And with that said, to all my long-term subscribers, thank you guys for all the love and support. I appreciate every single one of you. The year's wrapping up and I have many more announcements to make on the channel. But with that said, I keep all of you guys and gals in my heart, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts down below. Feel free to share my videos, and if anybody you know is in a tough situation or would like some relationship advice, feel free to send them my way. God bless all of you and your families. I'll see you guys in the next one.